A Facebook post of mine from almost 10 years ago. No, really, this guy is different. He's an outsider and against the establishment. He wants real change. He wants to really shake things up and change government for the better and take power away from those nasty people who control it now. That's nice. Now, can anyone name me a tyrant in the last 100 years whose supporters did not say the exact same thing? On their way up, just about every famous tyrant railed against actual injustices. If someone can trick you into giving him power just by pointing to the powers that be and saying, "This is bad," then you need to learn how to think. Maybe start by asking what that person wants instead of what we have today. Almost always you will find that he's just another angry dog who wants to be at the other end of the leash. If you put him there, you're an idiot and you will pay the price. Some of you might think this post is about Bernie Sanders. Some of you might think it's about Augustus Sol Invictus. Some of you might think it's about Donald Trump. Some of you might think it's about Obama. You'd all be right. It's about anyone who says he wants the reins of power so he can make things right, and anyone stupid enough to believe someone who says that. Another post, this one from 8 years ago. As the Orange Führer does more and more to show his authoritarian fascist mentality, like his pro-police abuse comment recently, I expect some former supporters to say, "We didn't know he was going to turn into this." But he didn't turn into this. He was this the whole time. He wasn't hiding it even before the election. He was broadcasting it loud and clear. Quote, "We have to give power back to the police because we have to have law and order." Donald Trump. Quote, "The police are the most mistreated people in this country. I will tell you that. The most mistreated people." End quote. Donald Trump. Quote, "The reason conservatives support a strong and well-funded military is because they know that all freedoms flow from national security." End quote. Donald Trump. The guy thinks that a standing army is the source of individual liberty. And some people claiming to be pro-freedom supported him. Good grief. Another post from over 9 years ago. I pay very little attention to what comes out of the mouths of the various narcissistic megalomaniacs trying to become emperor or president or whatever. If you know someone is lying and trying to manipulate and dupe people, who cares what they say? Nonetheless, even just based on the things I've accidentally heard coming from Trump, I am baffled that anyone, especially anyone who claims to value freedom, is dumb enough to support the guy. Aside from being openly authoritarian, mentally unstable, and glaringly narcissistic, he has also contradicted himself over and over again, spouting socialist bullshit when it suits him and pretending to be conservative when it suits him. As a result, if you actually think you know what he believes and advocates, you're an idiot. If you think you know what he would do if given power, you're an even bigger idiot. And if you think he wants to get a hold of the reins of power in order to leave people alone, you're a colossal moron. Of course, Bernie, Hillary, and the rest of the clowns in the circus are just as power happy and creepy. What's amazing and discouraging is how many people who I thought understood the game are now enthusiastically playing the very game that legitimizes their own enslavement. Fear makes people stupid. Stop being afraid. This one is from 8 years ago, but it's actually quoting a post from 9 years ago. Trump isn't the lesser of two evils. He's just the newer of two evils. He hasn't abused political power yet because he hasn't had it yet. But the same was true of all the other evils that people are now scared of. Handing the axe to a different psycho who hasn't tried to murder you yet, with yet being the operative word, is still a profoundly stupid thing to do. This one from 6 years ago. As much as I mock people for falling for political BS and getting their hopes up for this or that political savior, it really is pathetically sad to watch people cheering for and making excuses for their own abuse and betrayal. The people who are still desperately trying to believe that Trump is at all pro-freedom or anti-socialist or anti-establishment or anything other than just the latest power-happy narcissistic puppet of the machine have my pity as much as my scorn. This one from about 5 years ago. To Trumpites and former Trumpites, whether it already happened or not, make note of when you finally stop or stopped trusting the non-existent plan, and let the rest of us know when that is. It will be a sociology experiment to see just how long wishful thinking to a delusional level will keep you from recognizing reality. Trump is and always was the deep state's obedient little bitch, playing the part of an anti-establishment outsider, but doing absolutely nothing to disempower the same ruling class that existed before and will continue to exist now. And another from 9 years ago. By the way, my point in asking Trumpites to name some actual principles that clown stands for was to demonstrate that the support of Trump is 100% a cult of personality thing and has nothing to do with any actual philosophical position. There is no substance there, not even bad substance, to be excited about. His support seems to consist almost entirely of whiny brats who are happy to cling to the ankles of a loud douchebag whom they see as an alpha male who they hope will save them. Imagine if all of Trump's speeches were in writing and you didn't know who wrote them and couldn't ever see or hear the individuals saying those things. Who the hell would get excited about that? He doesn't ever actually say anything. This is nothing more than a bunch of scared, insecure, juvenile twits hoping Daddy Trump will save America from the scary Muslims and from those gosh darn establishment liberals, other than the establishment liberal named Donald Trump. From over 5 years ago, it will be awkward and ugly when supposedly pro-freedom people who fell for the Trump bullshit try to sneak back into the voluntarist camp after the Orange Fuhrer leaves office. And it will happen. No, being a voluntarist doesn't mean I oppose the initiation of violence, except when I think it might serve my own interests. That's called statism. From almost 9 years ago, in the grand scheme of things, with the end goal of having people give up the superstition of authority and the cult of statism, I think it might be better if Trump wins. I mean, if after Bill Clinton and Obama, people are still dumb enough to support Hillary, then I doubt they would learn anything from that potential catastrophe. However, there might be some people who actually think that Trump is different, an anti-establishment outsider. Trying not to chuckle here. And some of those people might learn a valuable lesson when Daddy Trump turns out to be just another slimy authoritarian, power-happy warmonger. Okay, this might be a stretch, and it might not be very many people, but maybe some. Mostly, what would happen under Emperor Trump is that whatever evil statist crap happens, the scared wusses now begging him to save them will still just say, well, it would have been even worse with Hillary. I suppose we shall see. P.S. I really hope no one is stupid enough to think this is me endorsing Trump. And from over 9 years ago. For tactical and game theory reasons, I'm almost starting to hope that Trump becomes president. No, not because I think he would make America great again, or because I think he has a pro-freedom bone in his body. He's an unprincipled, narcissistic, delusional, power-happy douchebag of epic proportions. However, a Trump presidency might have various unintended consequences that help demolish the superstition of authority in people's minds faster than might otherwise happen. For example, if there's one thing I think Trump is doing that is helpful to society, albeit accidentally, it's removing civility and respectability from the national political discussion. The more the whole game looks like idiocracy, a baboon-esque yelling match between loudmouth sociopathic dumbasses, the easier it will be for normal people to start questioning the whole government mythology. So in one sense, the worse the political choices are, the better. And it would be difficult to come up with a more pathetic, pointless, disgusting choice than having to pick between Queen Hillary and Führer Trump. And from over 8 years ago, so now that the new Führer is showing himself to be just another warmonger, there is the strange spectacle of Trump supporters fishing for some excuse to not say, well, gee, we were wrong about him. So instead, they are trying things like, 1, someone got to him and forced him to attack Syria. 2, he must be listening to bad advisors. 3, nasty people tricked him. 4, he's so clever, this must be part of a brilliant plan. 5, this is somehow Obama's fault. 6, Hillary would have been worse. 7, okay, so Trump sold out. 8, I'm so disappointed that Trump has changed. No, he didn't change, or get tricked, or sell out. He was this from the beginning. Some of us saw that. If you didn't, then maybe you should stop making excuses and just admit that you got duped. And another from 8 years back. It's been both funny and sad to watch right-wing dupes talking about how they are going to hold Trump's feet to the fire to do what those voters want. Really? How? By idiotically voting for a different megalomaniac in another 4 years? You just gave the guy an army. Do you have an army? No? Then you can't demand anything from him. And when, not if, he stabs you in the back, you will be able to do exactly nothing about it. Let's make that guy our new slave master and then tell him to be nice to us. Right, because that always works great. And yet another from 8 years ago. And I'm still waiting to hear or see how Trump supporters are going to hold his feet to the fire when Trump betrays them over and over again, like he already has, and acts as just another pro-establishment authoritarian control freak. Quite a few told me they would be vigilant and make sure their new emperor did the right thing. When I asked what they would do if he didn't, they got strangely quiet. From about 6.5 years ago, when Trump leaves office, whenever and however that happens, it won't be a relief. He will be replaced by some other authoritarian puppet who will just push to increase status control and violence in some other direction. For the zillionth time, the puppet on the throne is never the problem. The throne itself, or rather all the people believing the throne to be legitimate, is the problem. And around that same time, about 6.5 years ago, let me be clear about something. If Trump crashes and burns, is indicted or impeached or resigns or whatever as a result of paying women not to mention the unimaginable atrocity of boinking that creep, I will not be having a huge party and celebrating. Yes, Trump is a psychotic authoritarian collectivist and an enemy of truth, justice, and freedom. But guess what? Whoever is the next president will also be a psychotic authoritarian collectivist and an enemy of truth, justice, and freedom. I guarantee it. This particular psychotic political parasite crashing and burning isn't going to be a victory for freedom or justice. It'll just be the next act in a pointless circus. Ultimately, I don't care about defeating Trump. I care about defeating statism, which isn't a party or candidate or regime. It's a belief system. To put it another way, I don't bash Trump because he is the problem. I bash Trump because the people who believe he is the solution or believe that any political or legislative action is the solution, they are the problem. Or more specifically, their belief in authority is the problem. That is what needs to crash and burn in order to fix society. And the last one, from almost 9 years ago, I was going to say, all of you silly enough to support Trump, thinking that that would somehow serve the cause of freedom, remember this day. Remember that you helped make this happen. But then I realized that I don't need to say that, because some of us will remind you if you forget.